topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
Welcome to my radio and TV show, Debi Changes Lives. I'm Debi, your certified holistic health coach. I revitalize people's lives by helping them identify the root causes of their health and mindset issues and create a custom natural holistic strategy to address them in the areas of mind, body, and soul. As a health coach, I'm not allowed to say that I heal, treat, cure, prevent, or diagnose any diseases. I can certainly make your body more efficient by reducing symptoms. You'll feel better, be more productive, and enjoy life more. Not many people have released 70 pounds, had a health transformation, and kept fit and trim for over a decade. I have staying power. It's been over 11 years, actually. And at the age of 51, I started running half marathons. And I've never ran my whole entire life from childhood to adulthood to foot problems. I've actually done 7 of them. Mindset is the key for lasting change. As a certified holistic health coach, you can go to the next slide. I revitalize people's lives in different areas of health and mindset. I guide them to clean, toxic-free foods and high-quality essential nutrients. My coaching is for optimizing your health, releasing weight efficiently if needed, and enhancing your mindset. You'll see and feel the differences with my coaching programs. Ask me about my programs at my complimentary consultation button of my link tree at Debi Changes Lives, DebiChangesLives, as in victory, es.com/linktree, LINKTREE, and I'll guide you to a better, healthier life. With my mindset coaching, I do recommend for my clients to realize that they should pay attention to their thoughts, feelings, and emotions because they can drive their action and results. It's crucial to have a positive mindset to succeed in life. And it's imperative that you release those low vibrational energies of fear, frustration, and doubt, and anger, because they can slow you down and stop you in your tracks. Like a hot air balloon that has balances, I help my clients release those emotional balances so they can uplift to a better, healthier life, in turn releasing stress and reshaping their core beliefs. Another way to release stress is to save money. Today, I am excited to have Sheldon Singleton, a financial services professional. He's a little different than other financial advisors out there. He offers out-of-the-box financial solutions, services that are uncommon to help keep money. Sheldon Singleton is a financial professional for over 30 years. He was an engineer in the aerospace industry for 22 years and in various positions, and used his skills that he's learned to evaluate and find those uncommon solutions to help people to keep money. Sheldon was featured in the California Business Journal. You see the article in this picture, Crisis and Conscious, and he also got a Global MBA at the Rome Business School in Italy. Today, we'll be discussing affordable college alternatives to avoid student debt. So let's welcome Sheldon Singleton, a financial services professional. Sheldon, welcome to my show.
Hi, Debbie.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing outstanding. I'm happy to be on your show, and I've been knowing you for quite a few years, and your journey has been incredible.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for your support. That's wonderful. I wasn't expecting that, but I appreciate it. So what is your educational and professional background?
Well, my background is I have an electrical engineering degree. I was an electrical engineer for 22 years. And I have been licensed in the financial services field for over 30 years. And what that has led me to, that engineering background has led me to, is looking at uncommon strategies. Because as an engineer, I was an electrical engineer, I was a quality engineer, I was a test lab manager, I was a test lab engineer. What I've learned was, to solve problems, you have to think out the box and you have to look at different solutions. And, that background got me into the financial services field. And also what we're talking about today is very critical, because just like what you're saying is your health is wealth. Well, keeping money helps you stay healthy.
Exactly. And you can utilize the money that you save and build upon it too. And that's really important, at least stress, because if you feel like you're always like running after credit cards and things like that, and you're not saving money, that's just very, very stressful. So,
yeah,
so it's important to save your money so you're not so stressed out about it.
Yeah.
Can you tell me how educational debt became an issue?
Well, here's this story right here, because what got me passionate about college debt was, in 2005, my son had graduated out of college. And what I'm about to share with you, this story is kind of sad, but it's it's funny too. When he graduated out of college, out of high school, what he did is, as any high school student, which college am I going to go to? So he was looking for colleges. He lived in Arizona. So I said, hey, son, go to U of A, because I was thinking as a parent, in school tuition, go to University of Arizona, go to go to Northern University, NAU, and then go to ASU. So that's where my mind was. And then he told me, Dad, I want to go to Concordia University. I went, oh, shucks, that's out of and when he told me that, I was at the Orange County swap meet, and I was walking around with my phone on, and I said, okay, son, how much is it? $112,000. So as a parent, me and my ex-wife and my wife I have right now, I was thinking, I'm going to have to sign on this student loan debt. And how am I going to tell my wife that I'm going to have to sign for $112,000 student loan? And I'm thinking, that's not going to go over real well. So, I tried to talk him out of it. As a parent, you're trying to talk your kid, don't go there. No, stay away from Concordia. But the blessing was he got a 75% scholarship. And I said, oh my goodness, I escaped that bullet. As a financial services professional, college debt is one of the most onerous debts you can have. And the reason being is it's very hard to be discharged in a bankruptcy. There's a high burden of standard and certain rules in the court. The bankruptcy court is a 3-part test. It tells you the judge has to look at these rules, and very few people get this, debt discharged. And you think about it, college debt became an issue back in the late 60s. Before the late 60s, it was the late 50s when the United States started loaning money for college debt. And the reason being they started loaning money was because of Russia launching the satellites and everything, and we had a uneducated population. And what happened is the government wanted to have an educated population because, our adversaries were leading us. So that's where the college debt started. And then in the advent of Sallie Mae in the late 60s, 1969, is what led us to what we have today, which, as we already know, student loan debt is crazy. And that's stressful.
Yes.
I'm going to give you an example right here. And this is why I got so passionate about it. I know an attorney. she's 37 years old. And I was talking to her and I said, you know, how much was law school? And I misheard her. I thought she said $200,000 and she said 300,000. And she's paying interest only. And I had a neighbor, she moved, who is a dentist. And we were talking about student loan debt as I was going through my MBA program. And she told me all her debt together with her dentist debt was over $600,000.
Can you imagine? Yeah, she's a dentist. Can you imagine doctors? Like they're just as high or higher, couldn't they be?
It's crazy. Yeah, it's high. So imagine you waking up every day, you're thinking, I got, besides my other, you know, living expenses, my home, my family, my mortgage, my rent, food, and everything, I have this high student loan debt which hanging over my head, which we call forever debt, because on average, it takes around 25 years to pay off your student loans. That's what the studies have been, on average, 25 years.
You know, I was very lucky that my son got a Fulbright scholarship from many universities. He was smart and just went for every university out there. He too didn't want to stay in state. But it was hard to find a university that would do music performance and aerospace engineering. But everyone he applied to, he got accepted. And 3 of them were the largest Fulbright scholarships. So he had a choice. He decided to go to U of A. He wanted to go. And that was I'm kind of grateful because it's a little bit closer to home. But I have no idea how much the interest rate on those student loans are. Do you know? Or does it depend when it started?
Yeah, the interest rates are variable. When the student loans first started off, like when I got my associate's degree in 1983, the student loan rates were fixed. And I went to a technical school, and at that point in time, for 2 years, my student loans were $12,000. And for 1983, that was expensive because I could have went to a community college, which I would probably came out with $4,000 in debt, and then went to a regular university, and my debt would have been less than the 2 years of student loan. So I remember my student loan debt, I was paying a 3% interest rate. And I thought that was high.
Yeah. But what is it today? Do you have any idea?
Today, the interest rate, it's a variable interest rate and it varies. It could be 6%, it could be 8%, it could be 9%. Because the government changed that. And I think they changed it in the late 90s, where the student loan debt became variable. So whenever the Federal Reserve adjusts, so guess what happens? The lending institutions, the government said, hey, this is a great way for us to make some money off of student loan debt. And here's the crazy part. When it comes to student loans, student loan inflation, check this one out. And from 1963 to today, college inflation was over 197%. And over 46 million borrowers from age 24 to 62 years or older are cumulative right now, currently, owe $1.74 trillion in college debt.
That's really high.
Now think about what it takes to think about how that college debt affects your lives, because once you start getting behind on college debt, the government, what happens is you're going to start getting hit with penalties. You'll start getting hit. The interest rate never stops. That's the crazy part.
Yeah, I know.
And what happens, even with these college deferrals, because I did that. I deferred my student loan debt a few years, but the interest rate just keeps ticking and ticking and ticking. And that's what happens every time you defer. You go back to college, you defer it, the interest rate never stops. So when you come out, you owe all this money. And if you don't get a good job, because when I graduated with my associate's degree, it was a recession. And I started working at Sears and Roebuck. But fortunately, I started working at a semiconductor company. I wasn't making a lot of money, but my student loan debt, $12,000 was low. Now you think about the average, college debt right here is, 40, 50, $60,000. I was talking to one parent. He saved a lot of money, Debbie. $94,000. His daughter got a scholarship out of state, and he still has to get a loan.
No, that's awful. That's awful. We put money to the side for Jason too. But he got a full ride scholarship, and then we're going to use it for his, because he's going to go for a master's. So that's what we're using that for. But, not everyone could get a full ride scholarship. So you got to really plan or think of some other way of doing this. Now, why did you choose to focus on this area of finance? Probably because of your experience.
Yeah, because of my experience, and since you can't discharge student loan debt in a bankruptcy, it stresses you out, and again, it affects your health. And because parents are proud when they send their children to college, but they, unless you really think it out, I know you applied at a lot of schools, but parents don't think about what are the terms on this debt.
Yes.
Have I talked to a college coach? Because there's college coaches out there that will say, hey, here's the school. Does your child really want to go to this, what studies they're doing? Because a lot of times they say, I don't like this study. I know another lady who she works for the government, and she owed over $200,000 in student loan debt. And then she wanted to go for a lawyer, and then she changed it. Then she went to school for something else. So she had this debt payment, and she decided to work for the government. And after 10 years, the government forgave her debt, and she was shocked. She thought it was a joke. And then she reached out to the loan centers, and they said, no, your debt has been forgiven. And I'll never forget, she cried.
It's because she was working for the government?
Yes, because if you work for the government, public institutions like teachers, what can happen is there's a program out there where you work for 10 years, the government, and you make sure you don't miss payments, because at first a lot of teachers were not getting this because it wasn't being administered properly. And long as you stay current and you follow the rules, your debt can be forgiven after 10 years if you're working for a public institution.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Well, I didn't have to worry about that when I was going to college. So I went to UCLA, but I didn't have to worry about that.
Yeah. And talking about UCLA, you know how much it is for a UC. I got a master's program. Now, here's the most profit. This is where the colleges really make money, is on the graduate programs.
Yes, they do.
Because they got graduate loans. And there's not a lot of scholarships for graduate programs. Now, UCLA MBA program. Do you know how much their executive MBA program costs?
I have no idea because I never researched it.
$192,000.
That's okay. I don't need to do that.
That's their executive. Their regular MBA program is $131,000. Now, that's on top of your undergrad.
I wonder if some companies give employees a break on that. That's really high. But you know what? UCLA is so expensive now. I guess the acceptance rate right now is like 8%.
Yeah.
That's what
Here's what you can do, Debbie. If you're working for a company and then they'll pay for some college loans, pay for your colleges. What will happen is, that's what happened when I got my bachelor's degree. I worked at a company. They said, as long as you carry a B+ or higher, we will pay for your student loans. So my bachelor's degree was a 1-year program. It was a $20-something thousand program, but the company paid for my bachelor's degree. And that because I worked full time and I went to school full time. And I said, I need to get an A. I came out with a A+. It was a 3.87 because I did not want to pay for that college debt. So that's a solution for people who are going to school. If they want to go back to school, talk to your human resources and see what their program is.
Are there any other solutions for that to avoid that college debt?
Outside of working for a company, like again, if your child is going to go to a school, then that's where you plan it strategically. You make sure you look at the colleges and you say, okay, I want you to understand, this is a financial burden, and you as parents, read the fine print. Just don't be excited, because that's what happens. You get excited. And here's the sad part. More people over 50 are carrying higher levels of Parent Plus loans for their children, and they're going in retirement owing money for college. And there was a story about this one guy. He was in his late 60s. His son had graduated, and they said, hey, this is how much it's going to cost. And the guy said, well, I'm going to die before I pay this debt off.
Really sad.
Yep. And here's another solution. It is sad, because I know some people in some high levels positions, they paid their debt off after 22 years. 22. And they were in their late 50s when they paid their debt off. And I know people who are in their 50s. So that's something right there. Planning. Just don't accept the first school. Look, think about it. This is a financial burden. Also, for me, I'll give you an example. For me, what happened was when I just got my MBA last year. And the reason being I got it was because it was some clients, and I was introducing this MBA program to some high-level city officials. They say, Sheldon, are you doing it? Because I was so excited. And here's the reason why. MBAs, some of the most expensive MBAs, are over $200 and something thousand.
Wow.
The MBA program I went through, $9,000 to $16,500 all in total.
Oh, wow.
And this is designed for working people. This is why I got excited about the college debt, because I don't want to see people stressed out or minimize their stress as much as possible. With the program I went through, it's designed for working people. You don't have to have an undergrad degree.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, master's without the undergrad?
Yep. If you can show a minimum of 3 years of working experience, and it was an international business school, because I graduated from Rome Business School in Italy.
Yeah,
that program last year was $9,000. So think about it. That's the cost of a car. So it can be a car loan. You can pay that
on a car. Yeah, but it's important to know these little programs. Since you started talking about this alternative, are there other alternatives that you found for people that are not doing a master's degree, or any other way?
There's another alternative for people who. This is for business degrees. They haven't, from what I've found, they haven't expanded it. Well, there's another one. So let me tell you about this other alternative. So if you have a person who wants to go to a regular college, your child wants to go to business, get a business degree. I have a connection to a community college here in Santa Ana where you can get your undergrad degree in business you finish it in about 2.8 years, and it's virtually free.
Wow. Is that the only one in Santa Ana? Is there anything like at South Coast or Golden West?
Nope.
Wow.
Going to a community college reduces your cost. So here's an idea right here. Send your child to a community college first, because you'll keep that expense as low as possible. And then when they go get their when they go to the university for the next 2 years, then what will happen is you can significantly reduce that college debt. So instead of you owing like 90,000, you can come out owing maybe 45,000 or $30,000. That's a lot more reasonable for, college debt. So that's an alternative right there. What I found for the business degrees, I don't know the reason why, maybe because the MBA degrees are so expensive.
Mm-hmm.
These two colleges offers that alternative. So imagine if somebody wants to send their kid to, or an individual want to go to this community college, this college here, and want to go into a master's program, they can get their full degree for maybe 16,500 to 20 grand.
That's really reasonable. I mean, it doesn't sound like it's reasonable, but it really is. I went to UCLA and I think I paid quarterly, I don't know, $500 a quarter.
That's the way it used to be. And the reason being is the student loan is a money maker.
Yes.
It makes all this money, and because we do need to have an educated nation. Mm-hmm. Because there's 4 types of knowledge, and you heard me say this: you know what you know, you think you know you don't know, you don't know what you don't know. And the more you learn, just like with your health, what you're into health,
yes,
you don't realize you don't know what you don't know. That can keep you healthier. And it's the same way for financial health, because if you're financially unhealthy, that leads to stress.
Yes, which makes you unhealthy physically.
Yeah. Very unhealthy. You're waking up and you're just thinking, it's like, oh my goodness.
Your cortisol levels go up, your adrenal glands become fatigued, you gain weight.
Here's the crazy.
Get out of whack.
Yeah. So here's the crazy part. Check this. You thought that other one. There have been certain students, a small amount of students, where their college debt is $1 million.
Oh, wow.
1 million.
Oh my gosh. That is really, I don't think they're ever going to get out of that.
It's
because it's going to keep on compiling interest.
It's going to continue compiling interest unless they can build. And these were graduate degrees. Some people were doctors, and they were like that. You just can't stop working. It's that's the reason why I started doing this, focusing on this college side of the business, because, one day you want to stop working and you don't want to be thinking, I got this debt just hanging over me. And
you want to enjoy your life.
Right.
And that's what life is all about. I mean, you don't need to spend a whole bunch of money, but you want to have a nice quality of life where you don't feel like you're in debt and that you are stressed out about making ends meet all the time.
Right. And you hear these stories and they're disingenuous where, some of when they were talking about student loan forgiveness, and there were, like when all these students, just to give you a little bit of history, when the GI Bill was created, and this, because of all the soldiers coming back from World War II, they want to be educated. And the government says, okay, the GI Bill here, you can go to colleges. And there were a lot of colleges that were started that were no good degrees. So what happened is, it's the same thing, what they say, history doesn't repeat, it rhymes. Same thing happened with other colleges where there was for-profit colleges that had these, they weren't worth the paper they were written on. The degree wasn't worth the paper it was written on. And then these students got into debt, and they were poor students. And when some of this debt that was forgiven, a lot of people's like, oh my goodness, this debt is forgiven. The debt that was forgiven were debt under $20,000, and it was from these scam for-profit colleges.
Oh, okay.
So people thinking about, the basket weaver, you hear these stories, they went for basket weaving. So let me ask you this question, Debbie. How many people do you know their kids went to school for basket weaving?
Nobody.
Nobody. I don't know any. I've never met somebody who got a degree in basket weaving.
Yes.
So that may be an elective part of the course. So when you hear some people saying, oh, these people, they got these degrees and they shouldn't be forgiven. It's like, here's the thing. Here's what the studies have shown, because I got multiple books on it. People want to pay off their debt, but they want to have reasonable debt. They don't want to have these high interest rates. They don't want to be, have all these penalties, because if you don't pay your student loan debt, they can come after your degrees. They can suspend your licenses. They can do all these different things. So that's why you must plan. Just don't accept the first school. Plan and think about, this is a burden that I cannot get rid of. So I want to plan wisely so I won't have this gigantic student loan debt on top of all my other living expenses.
That's really important. And it's not so bad to have your children, if they are lucky enough to get a full ride scholarship, to go to a community college, to get their associate degree, because they can still apply for, not financial aid, but for scholarships.
Yes.
For whatever university they decide to go to. And, sometimes these kids love being at home anyway.
Yeah, because
they're seeing their friends. It's kind of like the high school for another 2 years type of thing, but in a college setting, in a community college, and a lot of them see their friends. It's funny I said that right now, because at UCLA, I went to Beverly Hills High School, so it's funny how many people I saw at UCLA from Beverly Hills High School, and it was almost like I was revisiting my high school all over again.
Right. Yeah, I say high school never ends. It just keeps going as you get older. Another thing when you go into school is it's more than the tuition. You got to look at all the fees. So make sure you ask a breakdown of every fee when you go to school, because like here at UCI, Irvine, I was talking to somebody, they're saying their parking fee, it blew me away. It was $200 to $300 a month.
Yeah.
Just to park in a parking lot.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. And I guess this year parking fees went up at U of A. But another thing they got to think about is if they're going to use swipes, or if they're going to use like a certain meal plan, because a lot of money gets wasted if that meal plan doesn't get used by the end of the semester or year.
And then some of the students, they even have health insurance plans there.
Yes.
So that's something else you have to think about. And here's something else. There are not technical schools, apprenticeship programs. Yeah, it is technical school.
It is a technical school, yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of people want to use their hands. There's plumbers, there's construction people, mechanics, excuse me. And some of these people make great money. I'll give you an example. I know one guy who's a plumber. He built this gigantic plumbing business. He has over 20 trucks. And I since I belong to the Newport Beach Chamber, I delivered his plaque a few years ago to him. His business was grossing over $2 million.
Wow.
So as a plumber, I don't want to be a plumber. Okay. He had the biggest house on the block. He didn't have the debt. He had to learn how to scale a business.
Yeah. And some people who are electricians, they go work for Caltrans, and things like that. And I knew this one guy that actually, he decided to do a side job, with his electrical background to help people, with their homes and things like that, just to pay for his daughter's tuition at University of Santa Barbara. So, do you really want to have a couple of jobs? Do you really want to, try to make life easier on yourself so you don't feel like you're financially stretched? And if you have a child that is, can get a scholarship, whether it's in sports, whether it's my son got it in music, some people get it in performing arts, go for that, but find somebody that can help you strategize to make it happen. And also think about the community college setting.
Yes. And you don't have to go to the gigantic prestigious schools, because that have the biggest stadiums. Because I want you to think about this one for a moment. It's thousands of people on a university on those campuses. And you think about that's a city.
Yes, it is.
That city has a bill. And how do they get their bills? Because what's happened is the government used to give a lot more money to the universities, and they scaled it back. So the universities have to make it up somehow.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
And guess how they make it up? Student loans, higher tuition
being higher, parking being higher, food being higher, residential fees going higher.
Yes.
So, especially here in California.
Yes. And then they got the endowments. Now, here's the sad part. There's some books it's the people who really started the industry, the Sally Mays and everything. In one of the books I was reading, they said where the industry started to where it is right now, they do not like it. They said it turned into a monster because a lot of the colleges have these multi-billion-dollar endowments.
Oh, wow.
But how much money are they giving to students? Billions of dollars. Because they got the boosters, and think about the stadiums, and think about.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But then it was one college I was reading about where they were building, they bought some property to build a gigantic campus. But when it came to some scholarships, no, we don't have the scholarships. Or they gave very little scholarships. You go, where's your priorities? Like a lot of the campuses, what they do is they build them up. You hear about the lazy Susans, and they want to attract people because, make the amenities really large. And we got this, we got all this, all these different things where your student can come here. But then again, you're smiling, but you got to think about your wallet. Your wallet may not be smiling.
Exactly. Because, one was a private university that Jason got a full-ride scholarship with. And it freaked my husband out. Especially because my son was thinking about getting a master's. So it's like, I don't think we can afford this after for you. So, you got to think about those things. And plus, he's going to be way out in Florida. It just was too far away.
Right. And European schools are a lot less expensive than the United States schools, because as I went through my international degree, my MBA, and I started learning about it, the European schools are like Australia has one of their degrees, their schools are very expensive. But from an international standpoint, a lot of people want to go to the Australian schools. But when it comes to, like some other schools in Europe, we're talking about England, we're talking about maybe $20,000, $30,000 to go to college. And depending on which country you live in, some of the countries, their education is free because of the taxes they pay. So their tax money is going to a public benefit. So yeah, you may not make as much money in your in pocket, but when you look at what you're getting, that's different.
That's interesting. Well, this conversation has been really, really interesting. How can my audience reach out to you to ask questions about this and maybe some other interesting things that you do out of the box? Services.
Well, here's what they can do. They can reach out to me at Sheldon at roboticfinancialconcepts.com. Again, that's Sheldon, that's my email, at roboticfinancialconcepts.com. And people say, Robotic Financial Concepts? How did you come up with that name? Are you in robotics? Well, at one point in time in my career, I did do robotics at a semiconductor company. But here's the reason why, because robotics, once you program it, it makes it predictable and consistent. So there's different financial philosophies out there for, saving money. Once that has withstood the test of time, that is predictable and consistent.
Okay. And they need to contact you to find out what your offerings are. So please, reach out to him, because that's, he has so much to offer. Personally, I love the advice I've received, and it's intriguing what the offers that he has. So please contact him regarding this college thing is just one little segment of it. So, Sheldon, would you like to be a guest again on my show?
Yes, I can be part of your show again, because it's, it's the thought, it's the back and forth that, makes you think, because it leads you down different paths that you're like, wow, I never thought about that one before. That's an interesting comment. Oh, wow, let's explore this.
Exactly. So I'll have you back again. And please stick around for closing remarks. We definitely will have some time for that. Okay?
All right.
Okay. Thank you. So remember, I do revitalize people's lives in many different areas of health and mindset. I do help you correct your gut, which gives you mental clarity. I guide you to clean, toxic-free foods and high-quality essential nutritional products that'll help reduce symptoms. You'll feel better, possibly lose some weight, and it'll uplift your mood. With my mindset coaching, I do help you reshape your core beliefs, release stress, emotions, and as well entanglements from the past. Your mindset will be enhanced. With my health optimization and weight release, your body will be more efficient. Ask me about my programs at my complimentary consultation button of my link tree at Debi Changes Lives, DebiChangesLives, as in Victory, ES.com/linktree, LINKTREE. And when you do, you get to know me, I get to know you. You can go to the next slide. I can guide you to your most optimal health. And it starts with 1 or 2 assessments. The first one is a health evaluation, which is complimentary, where you're going to rate your systems in the last 30 days in 4 categories of health. Some questions repeat. Please answer them all. You get a health score. I review this with you. If you move forward with my services, we'll be doing this on a monthly basis, and I will give you that custom natural holistic strategy. I also have 2 different body scans that you need to pay for. And I prefer to do the Zyto link because I can do it remotely and internationally. And I actually sent one to South Africa. Zyto Link is a transdermal optical imaging app that I send to your phone. Okay, you scan your face for 30 seconds. It's only looking at blood flow for components of energetic, emotional, and functional in different body systems and lifestyles. It generates a wellness report, not a diagnosis, of biomarkers out of range and products and services that bring it back into range. And I will review it with you. It's quite intensive. The cost of the scan is $75. But if you move forward with a product or a service, or program, I will give you a $25 discount. And transdermal optical imaging, also known as TOI, which is what Zytolink does, it's really accurate. And you can look this up at pubmed.gov. That's P as in Peter, U, D as in Debbie, B as in boy, G-O-V. I messed that up. So it's P-U-B as in boy, M-E-D as in Debbie, .gov. And when you do that, you find out how accurate it is. People have told me when they've done the scan, they're really amazed what their body tells them. Will be too. So if you're curious, get your first one done now and see what they're talking about. Also on the site are my programs. Take Your Body Back is my 12-week weight release mindset coaching program where you're going to use a new version of you for success. All coaching is done on Zoom. And the first one is always private to you because I do go over your health assessments. And then I give you a choice between 2 programs. And I give you directions on one. I give you instructions on how to create a new you in an avatar board that'll drive you with emotion and passion to achieve your health and weight transformation. And the rest of the coaching, whether it's group or private, will be celebrating your wins, and I'll guide you over gaps with health and mindset tips. You will become a new you. If you want more information about this, you can ask me questions about on my consultation button, or you can watch a previous episode of Holistic Self-Love on the show button of my link tree. Why Fast is an intermittent fasting program that gets your cells and body humming and turn business your metabolism with rich, dense nutrition and nutrients in a program of exercise and recipes. Remember, intermittent fasting will repair cells, reduce inflammation, and also uplift your mood. You would ask me questions about it at this consultation. And if you feel like you need some coaching, there's smaller programs, 2 or 4 weeks to get you started. And of course, if you want more coaching, you can pay for more coaching. Mindset enhancement, as well as health optimizations, are a little bit longer programs. You can start off with these 2 small programs, but you probably save money going with a larger program. I can also create a custom program for you too. Debi's Coaching Chats is a complimentary 30-minute coaching session in a group setting. It's not recorded. It simply picks the topics, and you learn how to optimize your health, ways to release stress and emotions, efficiently lose weight, how to harmonize your hormones for body balance, as well as creating a winning mindset. Use that winning mindset for health and weight transformations, and creating that new version of you and an avatar that will drive you with emotion and passion to achieve your health and weight transformation goals throughout your journey. These meetings are at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. You need to be registered for it at Debi Changes Lives. That's DebiChangesLive as in victory, ES.com/chat, CHTS, and you'll learn what my coaching is all about. Finally, learn more about alternative health, programs, products, and services, blogs, articles, upcoming shows, events, and promos by subscribing to my newsletter, which is at DebiChangesLives.com/ and this is radio and TV show, all as one word in lowercase. I'll give you a gift, a 30-day health and mindset daily action journal where you can record your gratitude, thoughts, feelings, emotions, the food you ate, the water you drank, the nutritional products you took, and the exercise you done on a daily basis. And you even track your measurements. You want to review it on a daily, weekly, monthly basis to see your wins and celebrate them. Find your gaps to work on. And if you need help bridging that gap, you utilize me for coaching. I'm certain that you found this show educational, informative, and enjoyed it. Reach out to me for my programs, products, and services, and reach out to Sheldon for his services. Can we have Sheldon come back?
All right, Debbie.
Do you have any closing remarks?
Yeah. One of the things, the services, I enjoyed this right here. And everybody, I've been knowing Debbie for a while. And like I said, her transformation is incredible because I've been into physical fitness for many decades. And you don't meet too many individuals. It's a very rare percentage who could lose weight and keep it off. So yeah, go look at Debi, follow her program. She's an outstanding coach for you and an outstanding role model. Also, if somebody wants to know about the MBA program I went through, I helped enroll people into that program because I got a lot of value out of it. It was 1 year. You can do executive MBAs, regular MBAs to executive MBAs. Like I said, maximum current tuition is $16,000. And that's with a 50% scholarship. So you get that. Reach out to me. I can educate you on that program, tell you about my experience if you're the type of individual who wants to expand upon their education.
Yeah, and like I said before, I really value his advice. I listen to it all the time. Sometimes I can't jump on it right away, but it's important to find out something different than a traditional financial advisor can offer you. So, and Sheldon has unique offerings. So Sheldon, thank you for being on my show, and we will have you back.
Right.
Okay. So continue to enjoy my radio and TV show, Debi Changes Lives, on Thursdays at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, where your holistic journey begins.